So I'm excited to have you part of this anthology. Tell me what's next for you.
Um, so I actually got accepted into New York University Steinhardt, their teacher residency program. So in August, I will be moving to Syracuse to start my residency there. I'm really excited about that.
So you go from
Uh,
snowy Montana to snowy upstate New York.
oh yeah, and then I was also told that it may potentially be colder than Montana. I'm like, I don't know why I signed myself up for this stuff, but
It's that East Coast cold, that East Coast, the
mhm.
humidity. It just like it sinks to your core. We don't have that west of the Mississippi.
Nope, we don't. So that is the next big thing, but that also comes with a master's degree in teaching. So I'll acquire my second master's degree. And all the program is supposed to be a year long, so it's another accelerated program essentially. So all in all, I would have spent 4 years in college and obtained one bachelor's degree and two master's degree because I was only in school for my bachelor's for 2 full years because I acquired credits from the military. So I never actually physically did a um, freshman, sophomore year for college.
Right, right. That's incredible.
Um, I am working on it will be a series, but right now I'm just working on the first one. And it it features a mixed cultured girl as the main character. She's closer to a young woman than a girl, actually. But um, I thought it would be interesting because as a reader, and I read a lot, I've never come across a character that was like me. Yes, I've come across Black characters, but they've always been the stereotypical loudmouth Black friend in the background. It's never really where, well, and I'm not saying that there aren't any about Black girls, but never in the genre that I like to read. So I'm creating a character that is Jamaican and other. I don't want to put it all out there yet, but she ends up on a journey that does eventually bring her to Jamaica, but it will bring her to different countries as well. She is following the travel journals left behind by her grandmother in her search for her missing grandmother. And it brings her up close and personal with different supernatural beings that she'd never thought existed. But the interesting part about that supernatural aspect is that the different characters are pulled from different cultures. So it's not all fae and it's not all vampires and all the same thing. It's everything included, but each book in the series will focus on a specific one and how it gets them to that next book or the next country or area, the culture they will experience for that next book. So I'm really excited about that. The thing that scares me about it is that the idea is so great that I will mess up the actual writing of the story. And it has delayed my writing a bit just with that little thing in the back of my head saying, you're going to ruin a great idea. So I'm trying to take my time and pull together all the information I'll need to make sure when I do get it out on paper and I send it to see if I can get it published or just have somebody proofread it. They don't just immediately throw it out and say it's trash. So
That's
that's the
exciting.
the next major writing goal. I'm still doing little poem pieces in between, but my true love is for paranormal fiction.
That's awesome. And I think as writers, especially as authors, we've all been there where our ideas are huge and we need to, funnel them in. Um, there are tons of tools out there to help you do that. If you ever, you know, um, you went to full, I went to Full Sail too. So I'm sure you know what they all are, but if you ever need any ideas or somebody bounce that, you know where I am. I'm I'm always here. So bounce away if you need some help or whatever. I have one of those middle grade ideas that I've been kind of, it's been floating around in my head for years, and it's one of those big, like I'm create this huge world, and it's going to go from here to there, and pull, things from history in it, and I have that same problem where it's like, is this so big? Where do I start? And how do I get from book one to book two? And so in the meantime, I've barely mapped it out. So I get where you are. I understand that. But wow, you're not stopping. I mean, you're going back to school, you're going back to teach, you're moving across the country again. There's no slowing you down.
No, I figured every time I've finished a degree, I'm like, okay, I'm done. And then another opportunity
Except I'm
pops up.
not.
I'm like, well, I'll just try it and see how it goes. And if I get in, I'll go with it. I'll go with it. And Full Sail was an opportunity that presented itself. How I actually found out about Full Sail was that my younger brother, who was living with me at the time, wanted to get a degree for gaming, I think design or something. And he came up on this school at a college where he's like, well, I'm not big on college, but, maybe I want to check out this one school. And we were living in Florida at the time. So he is the first time he ever expressed any interest at all in college. I'm like, if he asked, he probably genuinely wants to do it. So let's go. And we went there. And while I'm just sitting there bored on my phone, it scrolled across that they have a creative writing degree all online. I'm like, that's what I want. That's the thing. So after I was done, I had about a week after I was done at Arizona State, where I just felt like I was floating into nothing. I'm like, I can't handle this. I'm gonna send in the application, and if they accept me, then I'll do that. And then of course I got accepted, and halfway through, I tried doing the Teach for America program, and I made it all the way through the interviews, and they're like, we're sorry, we don't want you. I'm like, but what do I do now? Because I was trying to get stuff lined up, so as soon as I'm done with Full Sail, I can move on to the next thing. That did not work out, but what they did do is they send your information to similar programs, and I didn't realize fully that they did that at the time. So I got a few other programs similar to Teach for America, and then I'm like, I don't want to do those ones. Then I got the email from NYU, and I'd started to apply, but when it came up, it wanted me to start that fall. I'm like, well, I'm already halfway through something. That's just gonna have to wait. So I responded with an email saying, if you send it to me next year, I'll consider it. So in January, no, it was closer toward the end of September. It's like, well, we're, doing the early applications for next fall. Would you like to apply? I'm like, you know what? What the hey, let's do it. So I filled out the application. I went through a whole other interview process, and then they're like, oh yeah, congratulations, you're accepted. I'm like, oh, I'm going back to school. And then it's more like, oh no, I'm going back to school. So it's always the idea, I think I'm done, and then I do more. So at this point, it might as well just conform myself to the idea that I will also be going for my doctorate after this is done. I've already come this far. So I'm gonna take another little break in between after I'm done with my master's, so I can focus more on teaching for a bit. And then maybe after a year or two, I will go back for my doctorate, because my end goal is to be able to teach creative writing on a college or university level. And I want to be able to have all the resources behind me to be able to do that. But that just doesn't go together. But I also want to be a writer, and it's not just to get a couple published here or there. I want it to be on my resume as something else that I do. So I want to teach and I want to write. And when I started out on this path, everyone always said, well, why do you want to be a writer? Like you can't sell it like art. It's not guaranteed. So I'm like, well, that is the reason why I will teach as well, because teaching English and creative writing still gives me all the skills I need to be a writer. they kind of work hand in hand. One is a guaranteed career that will make sure I get paid and I can put food on the table. And the other one is that dream job that most people usually let float off in the background. But I refuse to let go of the dream. So I'm dragging them both with me, and I will go on and teach and I'll write in my free time. And maybe one day I'll get to the point where writing can be the job I do, and teaching can be the thing I do in my spare time if I want to. And if I get there, fantastic. That would be the happiest moment of my life. If I don't, it doesn't mean I'm not happy. It means I'm getting the best of both worlds, however way I can get it.
That's awesome. Go back to your grandmother and her grandchildren. You were the
I was a yeah, I was a first. So my grandmother had 6 kids, my mom being the oldest of the 6. And between the 6 of them, I think there are 14 grandkids. I am the second of the 14, but my oldest sister skipped the whole college experience. I have one aunt who had a degree. So out of my generation, out of the grandkids, I'm the first to get a bachelor's. But out of 3 generations, if you go all the way back to my grandmother, I am the first to have 1 master's degree, and in a year will be the first to have 2. I don't know if any my cousins, I have 2 cousins that are currently in college, and they should be graduating soon. So they will also have their first degree, but within 3 generations and possibly 4, I'm probably the first to have that many and to have so much going on at the same time. I'm also the
celebrate that.
first to be in the military. But
Wow.
after me, my little sister went in as Army Reserve, and then my younger brother, the one that I raised, I brought him into the recruiting office before I left Florida, and now he's in the Navy.
So was that the one that was going to Full Sail? Did he not go?
He wanted to go to the military first because he wasn't sure about how he would pay for college. So he said he would do the military first and then use his GI Bill to go to college afterwards.
That's incredible. Celebrate those accomplishments and remember those generations before you often. When you are floating down your river and stuck in a stream that took you off your path, celebrate everything you have accomplished and the women in your family who walked before you. Not just the women, but obviously, you know, we opened
It's
this with
mostly women, it's fine.
your grandmother, and so celebrate that you've accomplished so much, and you have not forgotten, because you said it earlier, my kids are watching. So look at, I mean, it's what an amazing story. What an amazing woman you are. I'm so honored to be in your presence right now. It's
Thank you.
incredible. Thank you for being a part of this. I appreciate you.
Thank you.
Is there, before we sign off, is there anything else you want to share about you or your your work? I know you have a website. I forget what it's called.
The right kind of magic.
I was going to say something about magic, but
With
then I was like,
right, WRITE.
right. So the right kind of magic. Is that where we can find your other work, or
I have a couple short fiction pieces on there and a couple poems, because most of the other stuff I've written, I've sent them into competitions and stuff, and I can't post them on there while they're
right?
pending, essentially. I have a couple pictures on there because I had an amateur photo time, but I have started a blog. I only have one blog post on there at this moment. I eased back a little bit because I wanted to make sure I get some better piece to put on there to get more work out there. But now I can also add to my credentials that I'm a published writer. So
Yay!
yay.
Yay you! That's awesome. So the right kind of
Yeah.
magic on Instagram, on Facebook, right spelled WRITE.
Yes.
Follow. I'm all for uplifting writers and getting people to follow. It's such a lonely world when we get stuck in these writing caves and nobody brings us coffee or wine and we have to beg for readers.
No. My writing
So
cave is in a Starbucks, so I just sit there with my coffee and sit. They don't have to bring it to me. I'll go get it and go back and sit.
yeah, I
Just put
haven't
my
done
AirPods in.
I haven't done that in over a year, and I miss that. I'm
Well, there isn't a
the
Starbucks in
world at
Miles
me.
City,
Oh
so I can't do that here either. The
no.
closest one is 2 hours away, and so is the closest shopping mall and airport. It's really sad.
Yeah, I grew up in a town like that, very, very tiny. I understand. My favorite place to write is outside next to my pool, but I don't do it that often. I don't know why. I'm always stuck in my office. But my office is where I'm most productive, I think. I'm outside by the pool, I'm looking around like, oh, look, there's a bird.
Mhm. You have a lot of squirrel moments. It's like squirrel.
Uh-huh, I
Okay, I
do. I
can
do
write,
always.
and you get 2 sentences in, and then the water rippling in the pool just looks so nice, and you
Yeah,
stare off at it for 15 minutes.
yeah. I was just so relaxed. Yeah. Thank you very much for spending this time with me. I am so excited for this annual to drop. This is the second year I've done this. The first year I did this on my own, or last year I did it with a partner. So this is the first year I've done this on my own. Um, and I don't think I'll go back to having a partner because I had so much say in the pieces and the development of the pieces. And this is just it's exciting. It's really exciting, and I'm incredibly honored to have you in it. So thank
And
you
thank
for
you for having me.
yeah, of course. Thank you for talking with us. We will chat soon. Take care.
Alrighty.